Greetings, Mark Garang here, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun. And today my guest is David Shribman, who's a syndicated columnist, award-winning journalist, and a summertime resident in Conway, and a good friend. How you doing, David?
And winter also.
In a winter, yeah.
Yeah.
We have our winter little sojourn
Yeah. On the ski slopes.
Ski slopes, yeah.
Yeah.
Old guys skiing.
That's right.
Yeah, slowly.
It's not a pretty sight.
You know, one thing, so we'll get to the issues of the day. And you're a syndicate, I mean, just to remind people, you're a syndicated columnist, but your column is, we carry a column.
Right. You were the Sun was the first paper to buy it, and that was 30 years ago this year.
Yeah, well, good. Well, that's really nice to, that's nice to hear. I'm glad.
30 years in the valley here. That's good.
Yeah, 30 years. You're 30 years. No, you've been here forever, though.
Yeah, I know, but 30 years in the paper.
Yeah, 30 years in the paper. Yeah.
And how old's the paper?
89, so we're 34, 5,
Yeah, good.
36, depending on how you count it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we're getting there. You know, one thing I'd like to ask you about is this as a columnist, and I've asked you this before, like, who do you support? And you say, no, I'm a columnist, and you're not partisan.
Right.
And we had a sign, which I actually got on my high horse and wrote an editorial about. It said, David Shribman, blah, blah, blah. They put it up on our front door, and it said, we want objectivity and blah. And so they're implying that you are basically anti-Trump. And, and this is months ago now, so I kind of look at your columns in that, through that vein, and it is interesting because, and let me just back it up by saying, like, NPR, people criticize NPR for being liberal, and I say, like Fox News, if there's an immigrant in West Texas that kills somebody, Fox News is going to cover it. If there's an immigrant in West Texas that's, trying to make a living, NPR is going to cover it. Right. So it's not that the stories are inaccurate, it's just that they're stories they choose.
Yeah, right. Well, let me just clarify a few things, Mark. First of all, columnists are supposed to have opinion. But because I was the editor of a newspaper for 16 years, and before that, the Washington bureau chief of the Globe for 10 years, I didn't feel I should take have an opinion. And so I chose to have a column that was analytical rather than confrontational or ideological. So the goal of my column is to explain and not to take a position. And I think that's a nice little niche. I'm comfortable with it, having been a journalist for 50-something years and not taking an opinion. I don't vote in primaries. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I don't give any money to any candidate. I'm equally dismissive and contemptuous of both parties, but I like politicians. Just as I think that as a genus and species, they're an interesting group. So I don't take positions, and I might be anti-Trump, and I might not be. My wife knows for sure, but no one else does. I seek to explain Trump. There's enough people saying that Trump's a barbarian or Trump's a hero. You don't need another one. Particularly, you don't need another one, who has been doing this for many, many years. The contribution I can make is to have a perspective, to put Trump in some context, to understand Trump a little bit, rather than to deplore him or to praise him.
But isn't there a bias? Like, I think journalists, just every journalist, put the politics aside, but journalists, kids go to journalism school so they can unearth corruption in government, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of their thing.
Well, yeah, or that because they think it might be fun or whatever.
Yeah,
or their girlfriends in the journalism department. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so, but isn't it also true that, and even in your case, that if you're analyzing presidents, and you're really a presidential historian, that's what you really key in on, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you're not there to, I guess, if they do something really good, but it seems like it's like in a way the journalist is always looking for something on some rock to overturn. Do you think a columnist?
Well, there are rocks to be overturned, but there are also, geology to explain the Pleistocene era or whatever. I got a C+ in geology in college. There are things to explain, and I don't think there are enough people explaining it, and I've chosen that as my niche. But you say that journalists are liberal, I suppose. They're liberal, but I think in some ways journalists are very conservative. They try to run a newsroom and change the pencils, excuse me, or the notebooks, you'll see that journalists don't want some change in some ways. But I think journalists have a bias, a strong bias for change, because by definition, if there's no change, there's no news. I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry. You can define news as a departure from the ordinary. What has changed since yesterday? The Sun wrote a story today about a plane crash. Well, that's a change from yesterday. There was no plane crash yesterday. So we do have a bias toward change. When I covered Capitol Hill for the Wall Street Journal, I had a bias. I had a definite bias. I didn't care what the House or the Senate did. I just wanted them to do it by 4:30. So we do have interests. Yeah. We have known interests. We have an interest in openness, opening meetings. You at the Sun have done a great job in making sure meetings are open. We have interest in transparency, and we have an interest in a civic discussion, which has been in jeopardy really for now 25 years. I have no known political biases, I think, except for I don't believe in the death penalty. But beyond that, I don't think, I mean, I'm going out of my way not to take opinion.
All right, okay. Enough about you.
Okay.
And you had and you mentioned pencils, because on the way in we had to sharpen 2 of your pencils.
Yes, that's so you can erase things and be careful.
Yeah. All right. So let's hit on a couple of the topic of the day. Like your column tomorrow is on Giuliani.
Right.
He's in the news
in
New Hampshire, gets in an accident. You call him Icarus, you know. But do you know exactly what happened with him on the down here in 93?
No, I have no idea exactly what happened, but I know that there was something involving an auto crash and a car by the side of the road with Rudy Giuliani. Here, I don't know, am I taking an opinion here or giving you perspective? You never quite know what Rudy Giuliani is up to. He's a colorful character. He's out of the news now, so you have a little bit more license to talk about him, his character, and his history than you might if he was running for president. You know, in 2008, 2007, 2008, he was the #1 candidate here in New Hampshire. He was way ahead of every candidate except for Mitt Romney, with whom he was tied. And of course, Romney is from a neighbor state.
And Giuliani has an affinity for New Hampshire. I mean, he was in New Hampshire. He was at a Fisher's game.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got this friend, Maria Ryan, girlfriend, or whatever that is. But I'm just going to throw this out. He's going south, right? So there's something on the side of the road. He stops and waits for the cops to come. So it's a domestic violence thing, but now it's coming out.
Oh, was it a domestic violence
Now
thing?
it's coming out. It's not a domestic violence against the woman. It could be against her friend.
Well, I don't know. So then, I mean, it looks like he was a good Samaritan, right?
Yeah, well, he tried. But then the weird thing is that he gets hit. He must have gone, and I don't know why nobody's explained this, because, I mean, I don't have it. I'm just putting it together, but he gets hit going north. Opposite on the other side of the median of where the original stop was. So I think he went down to one of those, he just went across the median to come back to see what was going on, slowed down, rubbernecked, right in front of where the cops were, and then he got whacked.
Well, there'll be a lot of people on earth who would like Rudy Giuliani to have changed direction, so that's for some people.
So why do you call him Icarus?
Well, I mean...
Too close to the sun.
Too close to the sun. I mean, he... you know, I was straining for a way to explain, this is the column that's in the Saturday paper this week, to explain his fall to earth from being nationally, the leading presidential candidate.
And you give him his props. I mean, definitely.
He was definitely, I mean, he was a great mayor. He straightened out New York. He kept New York going after 9/11. He showed courage and vision. He was a great mayor. He was a lousy presidential candidate. We see lots of examples of people who are terrific in one role. Michael Dukakis was a great governor of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, excuse me, and not such a great presidential candidate. We see some people who go the other way. I think John McCain was a terrific senator and not such a great presidential candidate. Barack Obama was a lousy senator and a great presidential candidate. You can go
either way. He was a lousy
way.
senator?
Well, he
He
was a
didn't do
nothing
much.
senator. He didn't do anything, and he was only there for about 15 minutes.
Right.
But he gave a great speech at the 2004 convention, and he was just a terrific, fabulous presidential
Have you
candidate.
written anything about RFK Jr.?
Not really.
I mean, what do you think? He was being grilled yesterday.
I kind of know too much about him. In
You
some
do
ways.
know too much about him?
Well, I mean, I was a member of the Kennedy Library Profiles in Courage selection committee, so I had some exposure to the Kennedy family. I grew up in the Kennedy years. You know, the Kennedy family deplores him. They find him odious. You know, you see family fights like Succession, the TV show. We had a great story the other day about the Succession
Like
actor,
the tall guy.
Greg,
He got
No,
nabbed for DWI.
Yeah, right.
And the judge is bringing him back to personal.
Yeah, I know.
arraignment.
Yeah, in September this month.
Right.
Yeah. It's gonna
Everybody
happen.
wants to see him.
Yeah, right. So there you go. So the Kennedy family, many of whom I respect a lot, not all, but some, and particularly Caroline, whom I know pretty well, find him odious, find him deplorable, find him unacceptable as a human being.
I mean, more than just politics.
More than just politics.
And that is-
Caroline wrote a letter about him that was searing. I don't know of any family member who's ever written a letter about another family member that was as searing as that was. So he's a controversial character. That's all I'll say.
I mean, how does he? I mean, how do you account for that? I mean, he was here, and I know we've talked about this, but he was here. He was going to be here for 20 minutes when he was running,
Yeah.
and he was here an hour and a half. I mean, totally complex, fascinating guy.
Was he congenial? Was he fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we talked about I asked him about who killed JFK. I mean, he talked about that. I mean, it was just a wide. He took his jacket off. I mean, it was like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
it's great.
Good.
Yeah, but I mean, so how do you account? You say odious. I mean, that's different than the politics and the vaccine policies and what he's. And yesterday,
No, this Kennedy family is saying that
what happened to him?
what happened to him. His father was shot on live TV.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
what
guess
happened to
would,
him. Yeah, and I think he's still paying that price.
And he was one of the pallbearers, right? Or was he a pallbearer for his JFK?
No, it wouldn't have been JFK, so it probably was his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you
he's
think-
Robert Kennedy Jr. He bears the name. You know, he's Ethel's son, oldest son.
And how do you think that? I mean, because he was an environmental lawyer, which I guess
He was, and a very good one,
Yeah.
and a strong advocate for the environment and for rivers in particular. So what happened to him? His father was killed on television.
You think that just marked him for life?
It marked me for life, for gosh sakes, and I wasn't either there, nor was I related.
And you weren't brought up in the Kennedy.
No.
Mitch McConnell either has someone did a book or a article, I can't remember, and he's saying Mitch McConnell is really not a Trump guy, right?
No, gosh, no.
Right, and he, he's against the tariffs, and he's for supporting Ukraine, but he's saying that the point of the article is that Mitch McConnell, Senator Mitch McConnell, is saying it's the most dangerous time since World War II. With what's going on.
I think that's right, on many levels. The country is divided. Let's remember, the country was divided in 1938 and 1939 and 1940 about whether to get involved in World War II. It was divided over religious issues. Father Coughlin, in that period, others. It was divided racially, surely, but it was united for World War II by and large, very, very much so. Since then, I think this is the most dangerous time on the following levels. There's racial divisions, there's anti-Semitism, we're fighting about things like vaccines. We didn't fight about those except for people fighting about fluoride in the 50s. We worry about China and its increased militarism and its presence in odd places like Africa and the Arctic. Now, China is not an Arctic nation, and it's all over the Arctic, all over Africa. We have the problems in the Middle East and Ukraine. We have terrible relations with Russia. All sorts of contention in the United States over tariffs, over Trump himself, over urban crime, who's responsible for that, over who runs the Fed, over who runs Harvard, over who runs Penn. We have all sorts of these things going on at once. It's a very tough time.
I mean, those are there? I mean, there are two boxes of that. One is all the constitutional issues,
Right.
domestically, and the international stuff.
Yeah. I think both sides want those constitutional issues resolved. The Trump people surely want them to resolve for a more robust, muscular presidency. The Democrats, who would love to have had those prerogatives when Democrats were president, are all upset about them now that a Republican is using them. You do wonder what the next Democratic president will do, not only to, in his view or her view, rectify what Trump has done, but to use the powers that Trump has adhered to himself. So we'll see. It's a tough time.
Do you read the New York Post?
No.
No. They have great headlines. So.
Oh, they do. They had a great one the other day. Today, yeah.
Which one?
Well, I forget what it was.
Well, the one that I was either a couple days ago was because it was, the head of China's Xi, right? That's his name. And then it was Putin and head of North Korea, all three of them.
Yeah.
Right. A big photo, and the headline was, "The Xi Stooges."
Oh, that's excellent. Today it was Trump to NYC drop out, trying to get two of the three candidates for mayor in New York to drop out so Mandami doesn't win. Yeah, it's a complicated New York thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, we won't get into that one.
Yeah.
Now, you did a column earlier in the year about Pat Buchanan, and because he won the 1996.
I think so.
Here
Yeah.
in New Hampshire.
Did he win that? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was in your column.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the things that was in there that I thought was interesting is that he said, and it was some guy, some Christian Coalition guy in Iowa at the time. He said, Pat Buchanan says what we all want to say.
Right.
And this is what I've always said about whether you like Trump or not, is that that's his secret.
Yes.
Like even with and crime rate across the country is like half of what it was in the 90s. I mean, statistically, it's just, and all of a sudden we got this crime stuff and the federal troops are going to DC. And I think everybody would say, of course we're against crime, bring in the troops.
But, I read in the Sun the other day about a machete attack and there was a beheading here. I wonder whether the troops should come to North Conway and straighten things out here. Just kidding.
I know you can't. But what do you think about it? I mean, that's a constitutional, right? That's a constitutional question about federalizing troops.
I mean, there are some precedents for federalizing troops. Truman did it, I think, in the steel strike, I think. Don't write me if I'm wrong. I concede I might be. But this is basically taking over a municipal police department. That's a different animal altogether. Whether that's legal or not is being tested in the courts. Trump's had a lot of court, in this past week, a lot of court defeats over Harvard, over tariffs, over foreign aid, 3 of them in the past week. It's a pretty big week for the courts in their fight with Trump. So all that's to be watched carefully.
Do you think the courts, they're just going to be dismissed as liberal courts? Because he had lost 150 cases.
And then they'll go to the Supreme Court and who knows. Like Amy Coney Barrett has a book coming out this week, and she's going around the country arguing that this is not a Trump court, this is a court. Kind of like a David Souter kind of argument, and we'll see where I think she's the key to American politics right now.
Because you're going to tell me, but I can't remember.
Well, she's kind of a swing vote.
She has been in a couple important
more
votes.
than, the way Souter was.
And David Souter's from New Hampshire.
Of course. Just died.
Yeah.
And so we'll see.
So this idea is that, that Pat Buchanan says what people say, he says what people think, and Trump does that too. And so like another example, which is when he accepted the $400 million plane from Qatar or whatever it was from.
Right.
And it's totally against the Constitution. It's right in the Emoluments Clause. But and then when the South African
president... I
don't
necessarily agree with that, because he's not getting personal wealth from that. So that's a close call, Mark. But it's bizarre. Let's agree with that. It's really weird. Yeah, the greatest superpower in the history of the world is accepting a plane from a teeny little Emirate that no one can find on a map.
And then it was funny when the South African president was there, you know, and they were just chatting. He kidded Trump and said, "Hey, if I had a plane, I'd give it to you." And Trump says, "If you had one, I'd take it." You know, but the point
Yeah,
is,
but that's
that,
repartee.
I know,
repartee.
but
Yeah,
the point is that it just seems like Trump says, like, yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
would take
yeah.
it. Who doesn't want a plane?
yeah. Well, Trump says what. Yeah, he says what you think,
Yeah.
or not you.
Is that
That's
his magic? I guess I'm trying to ask you what.
His magic is, you know, I've only seen him twice. Once here in New Hampshire, when he was vitriolic and passionate, and once in Pittsburgh last month when he spoke at Carnegie Mellon, and he was fabulously entertaining and engaging and warm. So those are the two faces of Donald Trump. The people who hate him don't see the latter face, but they should recognize its power and appeal. I mean, he can be. I was stunned at how magnetic he was.
And really, charisma is a huge part. I mean,
Yes,
Clinton had it,
right.
Obama had it.
Well, Clinton and Obama had it in excess. That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that's-
Biden didn't.
No.
Biden thought he did, and Biden did when he was 40, but not when he was 80. No.
excuse me. And what about Trump's health? I mean, now that, you know, of course, both sides are going to say that. Biden dearly was declining, but
He's old.
he's what?
He's old. His ideas are old. I see you have next the question of the Department of War. That's an old idea.
Yeah.
He's old. His perspectives, he's the new thing with old perspectives. How's that?
All right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And speaking of the other side then, well, you mentioned the Department of War. So he wants to change. I guess he's doing it, right?
Yeah,
Changing the
of
Department
course, Congress has the right to do that. Another issue where Congress is not doing much, but he can refer to his secretary, the Secretary of War, but he's legally the Secretary of Defense.
All right. But he can do that administratively.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about just the concept of that? I mean, that's what they do is they wage war. But on the other hand, certainly, we're not a country that.
Well, it's a rhetorical thing. I mean, we came out of World War II and we changed the name. Came out of World War II trying to defend democracy, trying to defend our position in the world. So we were kind of defensive. Now we're a little, although people think of Trump as a warmonger. He first of all, he's trying to win that Nobel Prize for Peace.
Yeah.
And he, during his administration, was not particularly aggressive. I mean, Obama was more so. Clinton was more so. Surely,
You mean aggressive war? I mean, with
toward the use of military
Yeah.
force, sure, and surely George W. was. So that's a little kind of a misconception.
But he's okay. So you don't think that? I mean, to me, when you hear it's defense, you know, Secretary of War, that if I was in the rest of the world, I would say, okay, that's basically marking a line here. We're going to
Yeah.
be more aggressive,
Right, it does. Yes, no question.
and I don't think that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, we
well.
can walk softly, carry a big stick, right? Somebody said that.
Right, somebody just said that.
Okay, so the Democrats, you know, when people complain about Trump to me, I just said, look, once you get your own house in order, that's why we
Well.
have Trump. If you don't like him, well, you can blame yourself.
Right.
So we might have talked about this, but refresh my memory. What do you think the Dems did wrong, and what do you think they're doing right now, if anything?
Well, you know, I think I'm the only person on earth who thinks this way, but I think that Kamala Harris ran a pretty decent campaign, given the fact that it started late and she wasn't, you know, didn't go through the primaries. She did a pretty decent job. She lost the election on the Sunday in which the football games were interrupted by, the intermission was, she cares about they, them, Trump cares about you. And she lost the election with that one ad, I think. Most devastating ad since the Goldwater ad in '64.
That's a great ad.
It was a fabulous ad. And I saw that, and I was watching it in a sports bar, and I said, election's over. What did they do wrong? They stuck too long with a guy whose mental acuity was compromised. Nothing more than that.
Right. And then the other thing is that she was kind of anointed.
Yeah.
Even if they had a
Yeah,
quick
but I
primary.
mean,
it would've been-
yeah, sure. But
All right. So, okay, so what do you see any bright stars for the Dems?
Ro Khanna, who was here in New Hampshire earlier this week.
And he's the congressman
From California. He's a star. I think the governor of Gretchen Whitmer is a star in Michigan. I think Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania is a star. But nobody knew who the big star of 2008 was. Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone knew who Bill Clinton was. No one knew who Jimmy Carter was. So the Democrats have done well with nobody's so-called.
Yeah. And you're a Dartmouth guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're an Ivy League bred, born.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So what do you think about the Harvard?
I have spent my life. This is a position I don't mind taking.
Okay, here we go.
Publicly.
I see your eyes lighting up here.
Spent my life hating Harvard.
Hating Harvard? Because you're a Dartmouth guy.
Because I'm a Dartmouth guy, yeah. Right. There's a Dartmouth song that goes, if I had a son, I'd put him on the college green and he'd yell, "To hell with Harvard," like his daddy used to do. And so we define, us in Hanover, we define ourselves as the opposite of everything that's Harvard. Well, we're all rooting for Harvard right now, except for around October 20th when we play them in football.
Right.
But otherwise, we are rooting hard for Harvard. All of my friends, who are even stronger anti-Harvard guys than I am, are rooting for Harvard, except for one that 3 hours late in October. And I'm actually at work on a piece talking about the Harvard-Dartmouth rivalry and what it means, and how it's, of course, it's it's ridiculous because the difference between Harvard students and Dartmouth students, we exaggerate them, but in the great universe of humans, they're the same. But we regard Harvard the way 18th century Protestants regarded Catholics, that in every way they are different from us, they are wrong. And so we think of ourselves as the opposite of Harvard guys. But we're rooting strongly for Harvard right now.
But Harvard really, everybody admits that Harvard has a long history of anti-Semitism.
No, everybody doesn't admit that. I don't admit that. Let's see how many. I'm counting 1, 2, 3 Jewish presidents within my lifetime of Harvard.
Jewish presidents of Harvard.
Of Harvard, yes, 3 within my lifetime.
Okay, so what's going on then? You're saying you're defending
Well,
Harvard.
first of all, I think a lot of it's bull.
What's bull?
I think the notion that Harvard is an anti-Semitic institution is bull. I could say more strongly. I think
it's a family show.
It's okay. I know that. So I think the anti-Semitic episodes at Harvard, or more precisely the pro-Palestinian episodes at Harvard, are a pretext for the president to do what he wants to do, which is to be seen to be punishing elitists. I think Harvard's vulnerable. I think it's a very liberal institution. 98% of its faculty who gave it to Democrats. That's all true. But I don't think it's a factory of anti-Semitism. And I have some authority in that area. So I think a lot of this is bull.
But going after the research, people will say...
Well, it's ridiculous.
Because the research is separate than everything else.
Research about aging and about blood cancer and stuff has nothing to do with religion or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And one of my neighbors is a doc from one of the big Boston hospitals, and he said, he was pointing to XYZ person who's now been cut because they were in research.
Sure.
And he says it's going to show up in 2 or 3 years. Like we're just going to start getting behind.
Right.
Because our research over the last many, many, many decades has really been through universities.
And as I say, I'm no fan of Harvard, but it is the leading institution, or a leading institution in health research and other kinds of research, including defense research, that the country needs desperately.
What about the idea that they have like a $50 billion endowment?
Well, they do have a $50 billion endowment, and
doesn't that just kind of upset people? It's like, okay, rich guys.
Okay, rich guys, kind of the Richie Rich kind of syndrome that you saw in the in the Archie cartoons, and when you were young many decades ago. Uh, but but okay, so they have a lot of money. Good. That means people of and not enough, but people of limited means can go to Harvard for free.
Yeah.
People of limited, if you have a income of family income of $125,000, which is not bad, right?
Yeah.
Pretty darn good. You can go to Harvard or Dartmouth for free.
Assuming you get in academically.
Assuming you can get in.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's the value of an endowment. I was a college trustee. I have to speak. I have to
Okay.
say, yeah.
All right. We only got a minute left. I think it's a book, and analyzing whether Bill Belichick or are you a football fan? You watch
Yeah, of
football.
course.
Okay.
Of course.
Tom Brady, or Bill Belichick. Who's responsible for the dynasty?
I don't know, but I don't like either of them.
You don't like either of them?
I'm a Steeler fan.
Boy, that's tough.
Well, there are
they got a new.
there are Steeler fans here in town. I know them. Their names are known to me, although I won't say them.
Like the 2 or 3 of them that they are here.
There are, yes, yeah.
Well, the analysis was that Belichick was really the dominant, like Paul McCartney and John Lennon. John Lennon at the beginning, Paul McCartney at the end. That it was Belichick for the first 4 or 5 years, and it was Tom Brady then who, became the dominant force.
But it was Belichick, of whom I'm no fan, Belichick who understood the genius of Brady.
He did. He found him a sixth round draft pick. That's right.
All I can say is, I hope they lose every game.
Okay, but that thing about the book, which is I'm a long-suffering Giants fan,
Yeah.
so I might have a
Well,
little
that's
better
redundant. Yeah, but go ahead.
And
But
they were
everybody in
saying
New
that-
England was a
They were saying
Giants
that
fan.
Tom Brady still wakes up with nightmares from that 2008 Super Bowl when they went undefeated.
Yeah, right. Until then.
The magic catch off the
Yeah, yeah.
David, it's always a pleasure.
Great to see you.
All right.
Okay, thanks very much.
Take care.
Okay. So we're off the air, right?